Win! It's the Jim Miller President Sports Program on BWC Internet Media. Tim Kirshnick is here with Ryan Hartson. And in the studio, Mr. Corey Bender, our NBA expert, who will be joining us later on in the show. But yeah, the Miami Heat wrapped up the series last night with a comeback victory, taking the series in 5 games. And, well, so much for that sweep that people talked about during the regular season with the Chicago Bulls, huh, Ryan?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
there goes. Poof.
Yeah.
Well,
just another reason why the NBA regular season is the most irrelevant thing in sports. We've talked about it forever now. Everybody knows what I think about this, or at least the 6 people that will hear this hopefully know what I think about this. And that even in baseball, you can get hot in September and win a championship or at least go to the World Series. Most recent examples include the San Francisco Giants and Colorado Rockies. And in the NBA, it does not matter what you're doing those precious last 2 weeks of April. You are going, the better teams with the more talent and the more experience, it turns out, are going to make it to the finals and are going to win championships, and that's why we have this juicy matchup in the NBA Finals that we'll get to a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, I just forgot. Scary moment.
So you look at this series. You look at this series. I'll bail you out for
I
a
had
little
a question for you, but I forgot what it was.
Okay, I'll think about it. I'll bail you out here for a second.
Okay.
You look at this series. I mean, the reason we kept Corey out of this segment is because these games.
Because we don't like Corey.
It's because the same things. I mean, we're going to talk about the same things we've talked about the entire series. That's why I didn't do a show yesterday. Because I was thinking, what's the point? We know what's going to happen. The Bulls are going to play really well for 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, and all of a sudden LeBron James and Dwayne Wade are going to turn it on, and that's going to be the end of it. Yeah. Because the Heat can score the basketball better. I was like, I've been comparing the Bulls to an annoying little sibling. And Tim knows a lot about this. They keep hanging around and hanging around and hanging around, and eventually you just have to beat the shit out of them to make them go away, and that's exactly what Miami did. Beat them down in the 4th quarter, 3.5 minutes to go. Paint the picture for you. 3.5 minutes to go. The Bulls, led by 10. Mm-hmm. And some fat guy on the Bulls made a big 3.
That was
something. Was that
Kurt Thomas?
Old. He's like really old.
He is really old.
Yeah. 38 years of age was the man that hit this.
I'm pretty sure it's Kurt Thomas.
Okay, let's go with Kurt Thomas.
There's no one else that old.
Hit a 3.
Number 11.
Number 11? No, that's Ronnie Brewer.
Not Ronnie Brewer.
Was good in that game.
Anyway, this guy hits a 3, and I text Corey, that's it. It's done. We're going back to Miami for Game 6. Before you know it, the Heat go free throw crazy. Dwayne Wade gets a 4-point play off
a little something with 3 minutes left. You got to deal with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, 2 of the best clutch players.
Dwayne Wade hits a bunch of key shots down the stretch. LeBron gets hot. LeBron did a lot more defensively and with his distribution late in the game than he did actual scoring, which I thought was a different look that the Heat gave you, that it was really Dwayne Wade that put the game away. Mm-hmm. And Dwayne Wade did not have a good series. And that's what you talk about when you talk about these superstars. They can play absolutely horrible for 3.5 quarters and then turn it on and win the whole game for you. That's why they're there. That's why these guys came together. I'm not having a good night. Maybe the other guy's not having a good night. The guy in the big 3 that's usually the odd one out will come out and they'll do it for you. And that's why these guys came together, is so they could all share the load, if you will. And what is on the shoulders of one man in Chicago is on the shoulders of 3 men in Miami, and that's really the difference. That's why Miami's moving on.
Exactly. I completely agree with your statements on how one guy can't handle it. And with the pressure of an entire series, the season coming down on his shoulders in the final moments, that picture just about explains it there.
Yeah. Derrick Rose walking away. LeBron James is screaming and happy, and Derrick Rose
look at Miller.
Yeah, and Mike Miller's so white.
Dude, he threw the ball to the crowd. What a little man.
Mike Miller might be my favorite white player in the NBA now.
Oh, really?
I mean, he's great. But I mean, you see, Derrick Rose just has that bum 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 wow look on his face.
Yeah, I mean, even with Haslam and Miller coming up, the guys coming off the bench in Miami even stepped up in this series.
Really
something
good.
that the Bulls.
Udonis Haslam was
exactly
huge. He was extremely key in this series. Played big.
Mm-hmm.
The points weren't really there, but his presence was felt. Those 13 points. Like, here's the difference between Joakim Noah and Udonis Haslam. Joakim Noah gets you 13 points as a starter, and that's a joke. Udonis Haslam's 13 points off the bench is brilliant. Why? Because he's coming off the bench. He's not playing as long as Joakim Noah is. That's why Udonis Haslam ultimately is a better player than Joakim Noah is.
Really interesting, though, because he didn't do that for the entire playoffs up to that point, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's hot, so... Just,
and he was injured, actually. I mean, this is the first time he's really been healthy, which is key. And Mike Miller hitting key shots down the stretch. The Heat do have other players that contribute, and it bodes well for them in the finals that these other players play well.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have easy matchups against bad players against Dallas like they do against Chicago.
An interesting thing to me is that you talk about things that make a championship team. That includes defense and depth. Depth is a very important thing to have.
Absolutely.
You have to have all people contributing. And that's what the Bulls
didn't
have.
The Bulls more or less were deeper. They had defenders that kept coming off the bench,
exactly.
And they could always having fresh legs defensively. Only problem is none of those guys could make shots.
Yeah,
which is kind of a problem.
That's what Miami had with Miller making the shots.
But they're not as good defensively.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Like here's what makes me laugh about the Bulls, because the Bulls are this great defensive team, this great rebounding team. Miami is better at everything the Bulls hang their hat on, and they can score more. Like, they do everything the Bulls can do, and then some. They are their superior in every way. Their superstars are superior in every way. I'm actually sorry to say that Derrick Rose deserved the MVP, because he did not. LeBron James was the MVP of the league this year. I'm taking that back. I'm taking Derrick Rose's MVP away. I disagree. I think LeBron is Derrick Rose's superior in every single way, and will be as long as both these players are playing.
I like the Miami fans chanting MVP every time LeBron came to the line, but
he is. He is the best player in the game. He's the most gifted athletically. He can do absolutely everything. When Derrick Rose takes the three-point shot, you're not going, oh damn. You're going, oh, he's gonna miss. When LeBron takes a three, when he drives to the hole, with his mid-range game, with his post-up, everything is great. He is great at everything, including passing. He's taking Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and putting them together into one elite player. And that's why he's the best in the game. What his historical value can be debated. We're going to have a debate about it in the show. I don't know what it is, but it's just awesome. No matter what his place in history is right now, it's awesome. He is my favorite player in the NBA, if you can't tell. I think he's spectacular, and his cast is really good too. So.
Mm-hmm. Now I've got a question. Is this was it Game 5 more about the Bulls blowing the lead or Miami being able to come back from
Miami's comeback, no doubt. Miami shut them down defensively. They do a great job of trapping players, not letting them complete offensive plays. Derrick Rose is just confused out there, and LeBron James does a fantastic job of defending him late in games. Yeah. That's what he's best at. I mean, he's even a great defender. Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys are elite offensive players, but when you're a great defender, that's what takes you up to that championship level. Yeah. And LeBron shutting down Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose can't pass it to anybody because everybody sucks. Say, yeah. And they just looked confused on offense, but it was because Miami was doing a lot of different things defensively, and then LeBron James and Dwayne Wade just taking over and shutting them down. Yeah. An unbelievable performance. This is way more about the Heat than it is the Bulls. We knew the Bulls sucked, and they just showed it. And LeBron and company just took advantage.
Yeah, I'm kind of eating my words now. I mean, I thought they maybe had a better shot. But I did pick the series in, 6?
6. You picked 6 initially. You wanted to change it to 5.
I did want to change it to 5.
Didn't you want to, as soon as the playoffs started, didn't you want to argue with me that the Bulls were better than Miami? Yes, you did. Don't lie. I remember talking to you about it.
I was making kind of the case, but I can't remember.
You can't make that. You couldn't make that case. I've been saying it for 2 months. I caught it first, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I saw it coming first. That this team, even Boston, would have kicked their ass.
That Eric Spoelstra having those conflicts with LeBron James in October. Remember those? Those are
Sorry, what?
oh, that's a long time.
The regular
No,
season.
but remember, like LeBron, he was like.
I know what it was.
dude.
It was the regular season.
It was the regular
The
season.
regular season is irrelevant.
Yeah, I know.
It's the playoffs.
I know.
Here's what we're gonna do next year. I want to promise something to everybody. When something weird happens in the regular season, like the Heat lose 5 games in a row, Kobe Bryant only scores 10 points a game, 6 straight games, something crazy, something we'd never see coming. Oh, this is the end of the world. I'm going to say, you know what? In April and May, it's not going to mean jack shit.
It won't matter.
It will not matter. It doesn't matter. None of that crap. Really, what does it matter that the Heat lost 5 games in a row and were crying in the locker room? Seriously. Irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers having that awful run going into the All-Star break, suddenly they get hot in the second half of the season, and they just lost in the playoffs because they were too old and slow. Not because, they had issues. They were fine.
Mm-hmm.
Boston lost to a Miami team that was more athletic, younger, and they were fine in the regular season for the most part until late when they had their Shaq problems.
Yep.
So,
well, moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
are you going to ask me about this?
About what? Oh, yeah. Well, the interesting story with Derrick Rose not being a clutch player.
He's not. I mean, let me get this out before I let you ask the question. When Derrick Rose, you want your superstars when the lights are at their brightest.
Mm-hmm.
You want your superstars to be at their best. LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Derek Jeter, Sidney Crosby. I can go on and on. Sport through sport, elite players making the biggest plays in the biggest games. Derrick Rose, when the lights were at their brightest, put sunglasses on.
Packed it in.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
He was coming up small in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And his so-called equal in the NBA playoffs on the other side was Kevin Durant, you could say. And even Kevin Durant just didn't know what to do because his point guard is retarded. and Derrick Rose is the only player of note on that team, and he just couldn't do it. He's coming up small because LeBron, I mean, even when he had bad series against Boston, and he used to lose to the Wizards all the time when, whatever. When the Wizards were relevant, he used to lose in the playoffs. But even when he lost games, he didn't go 7 for 29. He was always a little better than that. Mm-hmm. But he didn't come up small at all. Derrick Rose has been coming up small quite a bit in these playoffs. Did not have a big fourth quarter comeback at any point. That's great.
Well, hey, we're busy at the BWC headquarters. And
yeah. But, so Derrick Rose, number one, I don't think he is that big in the clutch, and that's an issue. So they need a 2-guard that is of note, and they need a big man that has skills.
Definitely some parts lacking, but with the missing of the late free throws and everything, I was talking to some Bulls fans today, and they were talking about D Rose being traded, and some names I heard being tossed around for people we would receive. Russell Westbrook.
Do you have any other names?
I forget the other ones. They were really, I mean, if I can't remember them, they weren't that great. So.
Oh my god. Now, first off, whether I think he should be the MVP or not is irrelevant. He was the MVP of the league. He won the damn thing. I watched the press conference. It's not like you can change that. He's the MVP of the league. He's the best talent in the game. And my criticism of Derrick Rose is what's going on right now, right? I would figure over the summer he's going to work on his game like most elite players do, and I've heard his work ethic is brilliant. I would figure he's going to come back and be great and going to work extremely hard, and there are going to be fewer holes in his game next year than there are right now. So he's going to improve as a player.
Yeah.
And if Derrick Rose is already pretty good, really, really good, he's going to be brilliant next year and might be able to crack my top 10 in the NBA. Sorry,
wow,
top 5 in the NBA. For right now, I can't decide. He's either 7th or 8th in the NBA, depending on where you put Dirk Nowitzki and Chris Paul. But to me, Derrick Rose is only going to get better. he is a transcendent talent. Is that talent going to muster into something that makes him a great, great player? I would assume so. He's in his third year, guys. He has time.
Exactly.
It's like when Packer fans were talking about trading Aaron Rodgers after he blew some lead here in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how's that feel? We have the hat up here, and I've got a T-shirt, and Corey was nice enough to bring me things today.
Well, I think it's just another example of angry Chicago fans. I mean, we had a 5-on-1 argument.
Did you listen to my Joakim Noah segment? I took a hard shot at Chicago fans earlier this week. Here's what I said, and I'm going to say it again. The guy that forced Joakim Noah to scream faggot and got him fined, I think that guy needs to pay the fine.
Oh, really?
These fans are assholes, and they just.
But that was a Miami fan that he didn't.
No, I went on the assumption it was a Chicago fan traveling down to Miami.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I mean, Miami fans don't care enough about basketball to heckle players.
Oh yeah.
You and I both know that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that was a Chicago fan traveling down to Miami. He needs to pay the fine. He needs to pay Joakim Noah's $50,000 fine because Joakim Noah is a hothead that, when he's provoked, says stupid things.
Yeah, the city that caused Lee what's his name? The Cubs manager. No. Back, remember he had that huge rant on Cubs fans about how they have no jobs. All they are interested in doing is criticizing the team. But it's just another great example of Chicago fans being angry.
I mean, they're stupid, they're angry, they're fat, they're annoying. Chicago sports fans are some of the worst. I mean, it's Chicago and Philly. I think what we need to do over the summer when we're out of things to talk about is we need to have a tournament about some of the shittiest fan bases in sports. We need to have a conversation.
Corey likes that.
We need to have a conversation about loud, obnoxious fans.
Yeah.
Is what we need, and which cities are the worst. And Chicago and Philadelphia in the early preseason power rankings are 1 and 2. And you can put them in either order. And I live here in Chicago. These people are stupid. They're crazy. They don't. No sports fan, no matter where you live, none of them think before they speak. Like I get just as emotional about these games as anybody else does. Yeah. But I calm down. I wait to react, and then when my head is clear, I make logical decisions about teams. Yeah. I don't think that's too much to ask of the American population.
Anything, yeah. I mean, holding grudges is a thing that Chicago fans like.
I don't hold grudges. I really don't.
On Facebook, apparently I wasn't the only kid, or the kid I talked to wasn't the only kid that I thought Derrick Rose is terrible.
For Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, for Russell Westbrook.
Now, Russell Westbrook is another guy that I think is going to develop and get better, but at the moment he's not as good as Derrick Rose.
No, not by a long shot. You know?
I actually think Russell Westbrook's going to get there.
Well, yeah, maybe someday.
I think he's very, very good.
Yeah, but I mean,
Corey doesn't. Corey hates him. Corey holds grudges. Look at him over there.
A little bit. He'll get better.
He holds grudges.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, we got some nice rants in on why Chicago fans are stupid again.
Yeah, that's great. That's great stuff. All right. In short, the Heat won the series because they're better, and now they're going to the finals, and the Bulls suck. And anybody that thinks Derrick Rose needs to be traded is an idiot. I think that rounds up what we've done here in the last 18 and a half minutes.
Mm-hmm. Well, coming up next, it's Miami versus Dallas for the NBA Finals. Who will win and what's going to be going on? This is the Jim Miller Frozen Sports Program.
On BWC Internet Radio.